When she finally announced he mattered to her more than I did, I felt no flare of anger, no burst of tears, not even a twitch. I simply stood there, watching the woman who once confided her deepest dreams to me under night's hush now defend a man whose grins lingered on her longer than they ought to. As I turned away, she snapped, "Apologize to him, or this is over." A strange, quiet clarity rose inside me, like a storm that fades without a sound. 3 years of marriage, 6 years of shared mornings and sleepless nights. We had composed our life together like a tune, sometimes messy, but always in balance. Her laughter used to be honest and whole to me. I trusted it. Then he arrived, a friend she called closest, but one who embraced her too often and watched her speak as if memorizing her lips. I swallowed my doubts at first. I refused to become the jealous spouse. But respect has a scent, and boundaries have a taste. Both were being eroded. It wasn't a single, dramatic betrayal but a slow erosion, 1,000 tiny cuts. A laptop snapped shut when I entered the room. Messages whispered promises like "You're my forever safe place." Her phone lock changed for no good reason. Matching bracelets I told myself were innocent. A hotel charge she said was a mistake. I said nothing. I bottled the pain, letting it settle like a bitter medicine, easier to handle once I labeled it. The last crack appeared in an argument when I confronted him and he only smiled, his silence more eloquent than any reply. She had already made her choice. It was him she stood beside, not me. That night I left. The house, the keys, the life I had poured myself into. Silence became my tactic. For 4 days I used it like a blade. She called, texted, stood sobbing at my door. I returned nothing. Silence gnaws at people. Panic pushes them into mistakes. I started to look deeper. A former colleague at her bank told me she'd opened a secret account 6 months earlier and had been siphoning off $1,800. She had been planning her getaway, never thinking I would be the one to walk. So I waited. I listened. I let her spin stories among our friends, painting me as unhinged, irrational. I let them misjudge me. In their error I found my chance. His name was Jason. Ostensibly a realtor, in truth a snake. Years before we'd tangled over a property deal, he tried to ruin me then, forging documents that emptied my savings. I reported him quietly. The board revoked his license. He never knew I'd been partly responsible for his ruin. Now he sat at my table, ate my food, leaned too close to my wife. This felt like more than infidelity. It was the reappearance of an old debt. My first move was leverage. Her secret account was laughably simple to reach. The password, Melody04, was all I needed. It all unfolded exactly as I'd planned. I documented every transfer, every message, captured screenshots, organized them neatly, and saved everything in a folder I called Loyalty. Next came Jason. A friend of mine in property law hinted that some of his business deals were flirting with fraud. I sent anonymous reports to the board and then posed as a potential client, coaxing him into sending altered listings. Every call, every email, I recorded them all. Each one became another piece of evidence. Eventually, I sent the proof straight to the people he'd deceived. By the 4th day, she was falling apart. She showed up at my door, eyes red, voice trembling, pleading for forgiveness. I let her in, listened to her apologies, and even held her shaking hand. I told her I forgave her, then handed her the file. She flipped through the pages, the bank transfers, the messages, the undeniable proof. Her face drained of color. I told her I wouldn't ruin her if she walked away quietly. No alimony, no demands, just silence. She agreed, nodded once, and left without another word. Jason was the final chapter. He called, furious, throwing threats and curses. I agreed to meet him at a diner. He arrived, arrogant as ever. I stayed calm and slid a flash drive across the table. I told him it contained evidence, 12 victims, forged contracts, falsified signatures. When this is over, I said, you'll be lucky to sell trinkets on the sidewalk. He tried to bluff his way out, but I leaned in closer. And by the way, I said, she was never yours. You were just the spark she used to destroy herself. Then I stood up and walked out, never looking back. 6 months later, she's living with her sister. Jason's lost his license again. Word is, they don't speak anymore. People sometimes ask how I can stay so calm after everything. The truth is, I don't carry bitterness. Revenge doesn't come from anger. It's born from clarity. And that clarity arrived the moment she told me he meant more. She was right, in her way. To her, he was more. But to me, he was nothing but fuel.